We're just about to start. We'll be just about an hour because we were supposed to do it last week, but we had to postpone.
Okay, well, we're
But because
live
we
now.
arranged, we're live. Okay. Right, so we can start. All righty. Good evening to all you lovely teachers, wherever you are. I hope you managed to have something to eat. I managed to vacuum my dinner down quite quickly. So I'll try not to fall
I
asleep
didn't,
during the
so I'm
session.
still waiting for mine.
Oh, Amanda's dying of hunger, so please think of her. So if you're dying of hunger as well, you're in good company. So welcome to our back to school webinar series at IH Cairo. This is the third in our series. Tonight will be slightly different because we want this to be more of a discussion session. And we will add our ideas. We also would be interested in your ideas as well. So we have a sort of a PowerPoint prepared, but we also want to sort of go with the flow a bit. So not like our usual sessions where we say, okay, try this, try this, try this. Yes, we will give you ideas. And we'd also be interested in your ideas, especially for those of you working in different types of teaching contexts, because I'm sure what you have to offer will be extremely valuable. Okay, so feel free. Let's see who's arrived so far. All righty, yes, we can see some people here. Lovely. So hopefully you have the live stream. Some people said they think it hasn't started yet. Can everybody hear us now? Please let us know.
Okay, Ahmed is saying yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can people hear us now?
People
Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Just give me one moment. All righty. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, just give me a second. There's something I just have to. Somebody is at the door, so I'll ask
Oh
somebody to
gosh.
help me. Typical.
This is the problem of doing sessions live from home, right? People turning up on your doorstep.
Delivery.
Yeah.
They arrive at the right time. All righty. So let's get cracking on our next. That's on our session then. So the big question is, what are anticipated problems when it comes to our lessons? All right. So please feel free to throw your ideas into the chat box there. And we will also throw in things that we think are classic anticipated problems. One of the first things that comes to mind for me is things like equipment.
Or people turning up on your doorstep that you didn't anticipate.
Yes, very good. Man has said possible issues that I might face in my lesson. So good. Can you be more specific, please? Think of an actual example. So one of the things I just mentioned is equipment. So what can go wrong? Very, very good, Manna. Technological problems. So what kind of technological problems can you think of?
Yeah, and the technological problems that you're going to have might be different, of course, as to whether you're teaching face-to-face or whether you're teaching online.
Exactly. So yes, we should look at it from, excellent point, Amanda, look at it from two perspectives, face-to-face and online. Because online, you're totally dependent on technology. Yep. So people have very wisely said, oh, good, speakers. Very nice. And the internet, yes. Now, oh, one moment, excuse me.
So keep coming with your ideas.
Yes. Okay. Ah, yes.
Myrna's on fire. She's coming up with all sorts of
things. Yes, Myrna's rocking and rolling. Well done. Yes, Yasmin mentioned internet connection, which should be an absolute nightmare when you're teaching online because you need that.
Right.
So there's not even a backup for that, is there? Necessarily.
Well, there is. You can use
have
a
backup
hotspot,
at home,
right?
can't you? Yes.
You can use a
So
hotspot.
internet connection, hotspot.
Mm.
I actually have a home router, so I'm not dependent on my landline, especially if the landline subscription has run out and then suddenly I can't connect. But
Yeah.
definitely hotspot. Make sure you've got lots of data on your phone.
Yeah.
I remember this particularly during the pandemic when we were online all the time. I always had to make sure I had about 20 gig on my phone at any
Mm-hmm.
time. Yes. Ah, power cuts. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one's a little bit more
Um,
difficult to
yes,
handle, especially if it's at
because that's
night.
out of your control. Yes, power
You
cuts
can teach in the
after the
dark
electricity is
face
gone.
to face, but it's a bit more difficult when you're
Yes,
online.
don't you remember in Turkey we used to teach with candles?
Yeah, I was doing a session with some teachers recently, face to face, and the electricity went off. So of course we all had our torches on our phones, and it was perfectly fine. We were able to carry on, but of course I couldn't
See?
use the projector.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but you do what you do, don't you? I mean, when we were teaching in Turkey in the 90s, when there was no internet, we were teaching evening classes, and then there'd be a power cut, and power cuts used to be quite common in those days.
Mm.
And it was like, oh God, and I've got a listening. And then they give us a load of candles and say, well, the customers are here now. You have to do the lesson. So they'd send us to class with a bunch of candles.
Yeah.
And then for the listening, we just had to read the script. That was all we could do. And if it was a dialogue, we would try and grab another teacher to read it. Or if there was nobody around, we'd have to do it with a student. I
But
mean, these
I
are
think
strange things
probably
you have to do.
quite a lot of teachers actually are reading tape scripts anyway to their students because they
Yeah,
don't have the technology in their classrooms, right?
exactly. Yes.
Well,
So these are things that happen, aren't they? And somehow we have to think on our feet, or preferably think before. I mean,
yes.
this is the most important thing. I think this is where we have to really keep it in our heads that anticipating is an essential component of planning. It's like a load of what ifs, isn't it? Inshallah, these problems won't happen, but
Mm.
things do happen. I think if you expect your lesson to go perfectly, it is very unlikely. Something always goes wrong in the lesson, no
Of
matter
course.
how well you
And you should
prepare.
be, yeah, you
Um,
should always think that there's something's going to go wrong
yes.
because it's rare that things don't ever go wrong, right?
Yes, lucky you.
Ahmed saying,
But
yeah, a
yes,
plan
plan B,
B.
sometimes plan
Absolutely.
C and D. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you should at least have a plan B. So always think, what are you going to do? So if you have an internet connection problem and you need it, then you need data, don't you? That's your backup. Okay, like I said, power cuts. I mean, that's the that's a government thing. That's something you can't control unless you have a generator. And most people don't have generators at home, do they?
And plan Z.
So I like
Yeah.
that. Plan Z.
Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
Mana inti shatura. She's good going for it now. So
Okay,
yeah.
so we've got lots of
Um,
technical type problems. What
yes.
other kind of problems can we face in the
Mm,
classroom? So let's forget about, not forget, but let's shelve the technical things for the moment. And let's think about
yes.
other types of anticipated problems.
What about the students themselves, perhaps? Some of these things came up in the first couple of sessions. Oh, very nice. Yes, Yasmin has come up with the first one. Yes,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Also, yes, the number,
Yeah.
um, because obviously class size can affect things. So you have to be prepared how to manage your class size, because we can't control the number of students that we have, can we? Especially if you work at a school where you might have large classes. Ah, very good. Yes, if you teach adults, latecomers is something you always have to be ready for. So then you have to think not to start your lesson immediately, maybe do a brief lead in or a review of the previous lesson or something, and you know expect that there will be latecomers. So for the first 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, then don't start teaching the lesson because you'll have to start all over again, or somehow get the students to integrate the students. Yeah.
Mm.
So, student numbers, latecomers, motivation. Oh yes, well done. Reem's come up with a load.
Yeah.
Behavioral issues. Could you
Hmm.
tell us more about what you mean by an oversaturated classroom, please?
Hmm. Do you mean too many students, Reem?
Hmm.
I guess
I
that
was
maybe is
wondering
what
that.
she means.
Sort of overcrowded classrooms.
Mm.
Very nice, Ahmed. Yes. Uh-huh. Mm-mm.
Mm. Yeah. So a lot of bodies for a small space,
Yes.
maybe.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
numbers are
Which
important, aren't they? Because, like
absolutely.
when you plan something, for example, this happens a lot with adult classes. You plan an activity and it's like a role play and it has three people in it. So you need groups of three. That day you have 13. So what's your backup? So that means, for example, one of the students could you can have two students taking one role, for example. You know, if it's an A, B, C, then maybe two students are C. All right. Because
Mm.
when you teach adults, attendance is a bit different from school attendance because at a school, all the kids have to go to class unless there's it's that time of year when lots of kids are sick. The chances are you'll still have your regular number of students. So yes, um, you need to always think about how you can organize your students. And especially if you have a lot of students organizing pair work. Remember, we talked about this in a previous live, the previous webinar, how to
Mm.
do pair work and group work. Maybe they can just, turn around, speak to somebody behind them,
Mm.
speak to somebody in front of
Mm.
them, so that you don't have, lots of students moving around, which might not be possible if you've got lots of students in the class.
Mm.
Can you say a little bit more on disruptive behavior? While you're thinking about that, somebody's mentioned not ice breaking properly. Well, that's important, isn't it? This comes back to classroom dynamics, maybe at the beginning, because you can only ice break once or twice maximum at the beginning of the school year. This will depend on your system at school, but um, some good icebreakers at the beginning of the school year can set the scene and create good relations between the students if we choose the right kinds of things that are maybe not too competitive, but make students feel comfortable with each other, and find out things about each other, and you find out things about them. Maybe you tell the students something about yourself that they might find interesting. I mean, any teacher with pets, you're always on a winner. Somebody in the class likes pets. Throw a few pictures of your cats up. I was teaching a bunch of kids online in China a few years ago, 10 to 12-year-olds, and one of my cats decided to make an appearance. Well, that was it. They suddenly everybody had a cat. Look, teacher, this is my cat. Oh, look, I have a parrot. Oh, look, I have this. So everybody was showing their pets and telling me about them. So it sort of broke the ice quite a lot. Okay. Yes, that's a very good one, isn't it? Sarah, you mentioned people working in groups. Well done. Um, so this is, sometimes some students don't like working in groups. Yeah. So what do we do about that? That happens with adults sometimes. They
Mm.
think that they won't
Mhm.
learn effectively in a group, will they?
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes teenagers.
Mhm.
So what can we do? Any ideas?
Good question. Mm.
Maybe you could get the students sometimes to choose their own groups, but they have to choose, but you have to limit it and say you can only work with three other people and you've got 10 seconds to choose. Okay. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of, I don't like him and I don't like her. No, you say you can choose, but you have to decide in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, have a strict time limit. Back to what we said earlier about teenagers. If teenagers want to be respected and given choices, then they have to,
Mhm.
have those choices within some kind of structure. We can't just say, okay, because otherwise you'll have some students that nobody wants to work with, the kids that people don't like, the non-cool kids. So that can be awkward as well. Okay. Ahmed mentioned short attention span. Well, of course, if you're
Attention
teaching
span, yeah.
children, as in, yes, I mean, should we be a bit more specific about young learners? Let's say primary and preschool, so like
Mm,
KG and early
hmm.
primary. So any kid from like 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Um, I think you um, maybe not see it as an issue, but this is part of teaching young learners. You can't teach young learners and expect them to have long attention spans. So when you plan your lesson, you must assume they have short attention spans. So you have to change pace quite a lot. That comes back to the age group, doesn't it, Amanda? Like I think when you've got like 5 to 7 year olds, you have to change the pace about like every 5 minutes, and then the seven to
Yeah.
nine sort of every 10, and then
Hmm.
upwards every 15, 10 to 15. Sometimes you have to experiment, but I think that is that is a given. If you're teaching young kids, they will have short because they're cognitively developing. Okay. If they find something they really like, like drawing or making something, doing craft, they will concentrate for longer,
Mm.
or doing storytelling and things like that. But other things, it's normal that, yeah, okay, Ahmed, thank you for clarifying, that they have short attention spans. So we have to plan our lessons with that in mind. Okay. So you have a few things ready so
Mm.
that, you know, you're not sort of stuck. So this is why you see young learner teachers walking around with bags of things, we're a bit uh, like a snail with the house on its back, yeah, carrying lots of stuff. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to be ready for a bit of everything, all your toys and God knows what. I remember
Mm.
doing that a lot, having lots of things, lots of colored pencils, scissors for cutting up stuff, glue sticks. Oh God, you name it, I had it. Toys, a
Hmm.
whole load of things. So yeah, okay. Um, Maybe it's affecting, I mean, screen time might be affecting their ability. I mean, the research is still sort of, you know,
Mm.
inconclusive. Of course, there are issues to consider, but children have always been like that. And this children were like that long before technology. Okay. Look, I'm old. I'm 62. So when I went to school, there was no technology. Um, you know, we but we still had problems concentrating because of our cognitive development. You know, if you're 5 years old in any society, in any country, your concentration span is limited. So
Mm.
screen time might not necessarily be the reason. They're called children.
Yeah,
So
true. But I
I
mean,
think,
maybe nowadays because kids are spending more time on their tablets or their phones or whatever, maybe is having some kind of impact, even
sure.
more so on their ability to concentrate.
Mm.
Maybe that's what Ahmed was trying to say.
Yes, maybe they're sort of making it worse because information comes quickly. So maybe they're not as patient and ready to analyze. And that happens with adults as well, doesn't it? So I think, fair enough. I mean, but do remember that. I mean, if you're teaching kids, they have always had concentration problems. All right, that's what they're like. But yes, I mean, because you can't, the problem is you can't control the screen time outside the class because that's a parental problem. That's, the parents' responsibility. And we can only talk to them about it and try to encourage them to be a little more vigilant. Mama, bless you. Um, so, yes, we need to be ready for shifting concentration. And I think, no, I mean, I know that it's not entirely conclusive, but I notice it myself. I'm not a very patient person. So if I can't get information quickly, then I'm like on to the next tab, because um, my I've got used to having information quickly. When the old days, I had to go to a book and look through it and take time and da, da, da. Whereas now I can find, several links and hop between them. So of course, it has to affect our ability in some way. All righty. So we also, yes, differentiation. Again, where we talked about this in a previous webinar, every class is differentiated. I mean, every class is mixed ability. So don't see it as something special because it is in every class you will ever teach in your entire teaching life. All right. But it's good to be ready for it, different types of learning preferences. You've got tactile learners, learners who like to speak, learners who are good at listening, grammar, and things like this. So it comes back to your lesson plan being balanced, making sure that you've got a little something for everyone, because one size doesn't fit all, does it, when it comes to lesson plans? We have to be ready, especially when you're teaching kids, because of their concentration issues. So they need things that, you know, attract their attention. Okay. Reem also mentioned about, shifting the focus onto completing tasks instead of messing about. Reem, are you thinking of teenagers?
She probably is.
I mean, teenagers, goofing off, that's called being a teenager. Teenagers mess about. Okay, this is what they do. Um, but yes, well, yeah, remember, I think we keep forgetting that we were children once, um, you know, and some of us were probably, good students in terms of we behaved ourselves. Maybe we were little nerds, but some students were not. And the other thing is, if you're a naughty student, it's much more fun to be naughty, isn't it, than be nerdy and boring, right? I was a nerd at school, but my sister was an absolute devil. She was always getting into trouble. But that was her personality. She was more mischievous than me. She, uh, my mum was always getting letters from school, having to go and visit the headmaster. And then when she complains about her own children, I say, well, I wonder where they got it from. I mean, some kids, play up in class, and some don't. Um, oops, sorry about that. I have a visiting kitten who likes causing trouble. So if you can hear a kitten going, "Oh," I am not torturing it because I'm speaking to you. So look, my hands are here. So you don't need to report me to the Animal Protection Associations. So I have a visiting kitten who likes to try to fight my fully grown cats and then complains when he gets beaten up. So a bit like kids in class, you see. Uh, Somebody causes trouble and then they go, she hit me, he hit me, he took my pencil. you know. So this is kids, isn't it? Um, so yeah, we have to be sort of ready for these things. Kids, well, there are times I think in class where you need to give the students a couple of minutes to mess about, get it out of their system, you know, um, because our students get so used to us saying, "Keep quiet, sit down," that when you say the opposite, when I was teaching 7 and 8 year olds in Thailand years ago, of course, they're constantly wanting to move around. So I thought, well, I'm getting sick of complaining, because I was quite inexperienced at teaching young learners at that time. And I thought, well, why don't I do the opposite? So I said,
Go
okay,
with it.
do you all like moving around and dancing? And they said, yes, teacher. I said, okay, everybody up. Come on, please walk around, run around. I got them first walking, running, jumping. After a few minutes, they said, teacher, can we sit down, please? Reverse psychology.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You've got to sort of do things that your students don't expect you to do. You know, your students expect you to keep saying, please be quiet, please sit down, please work nicely, please do this, please do that. And when you sort of say something the opposite, they're kind of like, damn, okay, we can't annoy her. Because the other thing is, remember, your students are often trying to see if they can annoy you, especially
Yeah, they're trying to
teenagers,
test
because
you,
they like
aren't they?
testing you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's teenagers, right?
Mm.
Especially if you react. The more
Yeah.
you react, the more they do it. You know, so if they see you looking stressed, they are like wild beasts. They come in for the kill. So you know, do expect that the things like that will happen. There are troublemakers in every class. And sometimes they're troublemaking because they're bored. Maybe they find the lesson too easy. We know this can be a common problem.
Mm.
Or they've or the opposite. Maybe they're finding it difficult, and instead of concentrating because that's more stressful, okay, then they misbehave because they don't know what else to do.
Mm.
In fact, in my final year of secondary school, I started being naughty in maths classes because I didn't understand. Okay, I was a complete nerd all through my school life, but at the end in maths, the teacher was just ignoring us all the time. He only spoke to the students who were good at maths, and by this time I was 16. I understood what was going on, and I thought, well, damn you, if you're not going to pay me any attention, then we'll mess about. So, there's that as well, plus things that might be happening outside the classroom. Um, so, expecting, I mean, like there's a mention of academically undisciplined students. Well, it takes time for students to become academically disciplined. Not everybody is a natural student, are they? I mean, some students love studying, and others find it very difficult to focus. Okay, so we have to find things in the lesson that attract their attention and find out what it is. Watch them and see the things that they like doing when they do behave. Um, because um, when you're a young kid, of course you are academically undisciplined. You can't even do it in your own language. So how are you going to do it in English? Um, you know, when children, if you're teaching children who are sort of like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're still learning how to behave, how to socialize outside the home, right? I mean, they, they know how to behave with their brothers and sisters at home or mummy and daddy because they know what will happen. But at school, everything is different because suddenly there's lots of other kids that you don't know. And everything is strange, isn't it? You're in a classroom with a bunch of other kids, maybe some kids you're frightened of. Um, you know, maybe you think the teacher is scary, especially if you have a foreign teacher as well. Sometimes little kids get very panicky when the foreign teacher walks in. It's like, oh my God, she can't speak Arabic, she can't speak Turkish, what are we going to do? Or they
Yeah,
think,
exactly.
she can't speak our language, this means we can say naughty things. Um, so it can go several ways. So I think we do have to be, ready for those things. Well, I mean, so you need to, for classroom management, for the kids being naughty, you have to find out your school rules, okay? Because you need to know what you can and can't do. So what are your consequences? All right. Try to avoid the word punishments, but there need to be consequences for their actions, their behaviors. Um, we talked about this in a previous live as well. Classroom contracts. Okay, so again, they make the classroom contract. You say, right, you have to agree on 4 rules in the class that make our class enjoyable and safe to learn in. And they have to agree on 4 rules. They sign it, they write their names all over it. You make it into a nice big poster, and it stays up there because breaking teachers' rules is fun. Breaking your friends' rules is not fun. Okay? So you've got to take the mischief element out of it. It is fun to annoy a teacher, all right? But not interesting to annoy your friends, is it? Because when you're a teenager, especially, your friends are everything. Your friends are sometimes more important than your family, in a teenager's mind. So classroom contracts are not indefinite. You have to renew them maybe once or twice a semester because as your kids change, different things will become important. So you can also have a classroom contract with the things that you want and that they want and the consequences if they don't. But you have to always consult your school classroom management policy on that because that's something we can't comment on because we don't know, what the rules are where you work. All right. So you need to be ready for that. Contracts have been shown, I mean, that's backed up by a lot of research, that classroom contracts work. I mentioned this in a previous live, Ofsted, which is the British educational sort of inspection group, if you like, they carried out a huge research project in the UK many years ago, and they went to about 20,000 plus places. And they found that the schools or as in mainstream school, sort of primary, preschool, secondary school, and even adult education, where they had classroom contracts, they had fewer discipline problems. Okay, so it's something that is tried and tested. The other thing with that is also making sure that the parents are aware of what happens. In the UK, in our government schools, the parents have to sign a contract saying this is what happens, these are our rules, and this is what happens if your child breaks the rules, and they have to sign it. So if they come to complain later and say, "Oh, but you punished my, little Johnny because he did this,"
And
and they
it's
say,
always
"Okay, well, look,
Johnny.
you remember? You signed." It's always Johnny, isn't it? So you signed this, and they're like, "Ah, okay. So why are you complaining?" All right. So something, things like this are very important. All righty. Anything else that comes to mind? I know we've talked about classroom management quite a lot because it's probably a common problem, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I can see things sort of being written, but it hasn't come up yet. Well, I can have a look maybe at my list. Maybe things like equipment instruction problems. Students not knowing what to do. This is often a source of misbehavior in class.
Mm.
Students don't know what to do, yeah? So they start
Mm.
misbehaving. And anybody that's done CELTA, you know what we ask you to do to make sure students know what to do. So, do we give long, complicated instructions?
Yes.
And it works really well. Well done. Uh, Yasmin's talked about ICQs. Well done. Right.
Mhm.
So ICQs, instruction checking questions. CCQs are different because we use those to check meaning when we're teaching vocabulary or grammar. But ICQs, very, very important. But actually, this is something we give. Well done, man. Oh, she's back. Atlan to both of you. So instruction checking questions. So checking that the students know what to do. I call it the KISS rule, keep it short and simple. In many cases, to be honest with you, demonstrating what we call a demo on CELTA is often the most effective way. So if you want the students, for example, you're doing a simple gap fill, then use your projector. If you've got your, for those of you who are using data show the exercise on the projector, ask the students, let's do number 2 together. Tell me the answer for number 2. Right, you've got 10 seconds, nobody say anything. Then after 10 seconds, the students tell you the answer. All right. So now you've got an idea. And allow lots of students to call out. Don't just say one student, don't nominate. The more students who call, modeling and if you're modeling is for language, demonstrating is for showing students what to do. Okay, so well done. Fatia, yeah, yes. So demonstrating is super, super important. If the students show you that they know what to do, then we have a clearer idea that they know. And then, in many cases, we might not need ICQs because if they've done the first 1, 2, or 3 examples with you, that makes life a lot easier. It's the same for listening. If you're saying, okay, I want you to listen and tick, not right, then you can, tick the true sentences. So let them look at the sentences first. Okay, right. Let's do number 1 together. So you play the audio until they get the first example. Okay, pause. Let the students have a few seconds to tell each other. You say, tell each other what you think the answer is. Is it true or false? And now the students tell you. All right. So this is demonstrating a listening. Okay. You can ask an ICQ before the listening. You can say, are you going to write anything? Are you going to write long answers? Sometimes, we can overdose on ICQs. We're like, to write with a pen or a pencil? Or some of our famous questions, ICQs on CELTA. Are you going to write with a pen or use your finger? Was one of my favorite ones. And the students just looked at that teacher like, oh my God. So yes, making sure students know what to do is really, really important. So it's no good giving long, complicated instructions because most of the students won't know what to do. So I think demos are probably the most effective. Would you agree with that, Amanda? Is there
Absolutely.
anything
Yeah.
else we can do?
Um, I would say that demonstrations, regardless of
Mm.
level, regardless of age,
Mm.
are always going to work.
Yes,
Whereas,
I think so.
like when we think about ICQs, is that
Mm.
something that works with very low levels? Is that something that
Well,
works
exactly.
with younger students?
Mm. Agree. I think with young kids, ICQs might not necessarily be very helpful, especially early
No.
grades, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it,
Yeah.
they'll be too busy trying to work out what the question means
Exactly. And
instead
that's
of
the problem,
the
right?
task
They're
itself.
already struggling
Yeah,
with the instruction. And then if I ask them questions on top of that, then they're
yeah.
just going to get
Good.
even more confused.
Cognitive overload, lovely teachers.
Absolutely.
Something we
Yeah.
need to avoid, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we fire off, I've seen teachers fire off a whole load of information at students, and then they say, so, and they're going to do this, and they tell all the stages at once. First, you're going to do this, and then after that, you're going to do this. And then, okay? And then the students say, uh, okay. Some of the students, because they love you, they do the nodding dog thing. Yes, teacher. And then they ask each other and go, Mishapa, and I'm Miss Fema. So they ask each other. So yeah, if you're going to give long instructions, please, 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 um, chunk them. Amanda's written here, staging. I call it the need to know syndrome. You tell them what they need to know when they need to know. So first,
Yeah.
I want you to write short notes. Students write short notes. Second, now I want you to make 3 sentences. Demo. Students make 3 sentences. Now I need you to show each other ask each other questions. All right. So you do one thing, finish it, tell them the next part, do it, da da da. Stage or chunk, yeah. Don't throw everything at the students all at once because it's just like a load of boom. They sort of they're knocked out, aren't they? So definitely, you know, throwing difficult instructions at students will often end up with students making trouble because they don't understand what to do. So either they ask each other in the mother tongue, or they start messing about because they don't know what to do they? All right. So that's very, very important. So make sure that everybody knows what to do. And that's where group work can help as well. If you've got the students organized, even if in a big class where there's sort of 4 or 5 students in one, 4 or 5 students, then you can go around then and see if there's, they need any extra help. But simplifying, the secret is simplification. Okay. Keep it short and simple. It's an old rule, but it's a good rule. Um, and it's also, for those of you who have done your CELTA or your TEFL, you know that if your instructions are short and sweet, then you won't have problems with your TTT, okay, your teacher talking time. Because if you give long, complicated instructions, what usually happens is you have to go around the room repeating your instructions again and again and again. So TTT airplane or rocket is going into the sky. So that's another very good reason, isn't it? All righty. Anything else from that list that we should tackle here, Amanda?
Timing, maybe.
Yes. To me, timing is the teacher's greatest enemy.
uh,
It's my greatest enemy.
well, it's mine as well. I have to admit, even after all these years of teaching, I still find it
Yeah,
is probably one of the most
yeah,
challenging things.
definitely. I think this is one of the things, to me, this is probably the first thing you should plan for, your anticipated problems and solutions. Because as CELTA tutors, we see a lot of plans. Thank you, man. Alhamdulillah, it's not just us.
I
But I think all teachers suffer from timing problems.
think so.
Um, and, some are better at it than others, and, mashallah, well done you. But I think we all suffer from it in some shape or form. So really, to me, this is probably your first anticipated problem. On the CELTA course, we see our teachers writing things like, I will time each activity and keep to the time limit. Yeah, that's lovely. But students don't always, go along
Yeah,
with that because you're
those
dealing with
students.
those strange things called humans. You know,
Yeah.
remember, everybody absorbs, understands things at different levels. We're not all the same, you know. Some things we understand easily, some things we find more difficult. And sometimes you have to, you know, think on your feet. You might have to do something again. I'll give you an example that happened to me during my Delta. Um, in the old days when I did it, it was called the D-Tefla, but it's nowadays known as the Delta. I was having my external observation, so I'd done the exam, all the theory and stuff, and then I was being observed by an external assessor who was coming to check my lesson. And this was the PPP era, the presentation, practice, production era. So I was already terrified because I was going to be observed by somebody who'd written a book on error correction, who was quite famous at the time. So you can imagine, before my TP, my Delta TP, I was already smoking like a chimney. I was like, oh my God, it's him. He's really famous. Oh my God, he's going to watch my lesson. So I'd already smoked about 1 million cigarettes. So I started the lesson and it was going quite well. But suddenly I realized that the students were stuck. I'd overestimated their ability. Okay, I pitched it a bit too high, not terribly high, but I was trying to sort of, you know, aim high, challenge
Mm,
them, but
yeah.
I nearly fell on flat on my face. So I had to go back and then do the presentation again. You know, the concept checking, the eliciting, blah 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 blah. And then we did the control practice again, which meant I didn't have time to start the free practice. All right.
Mm,
So we
mhm,
did a bit of controlled, semi-controlled practice, and the lesson finished. All right. Now, the assessor said to me, sat with me after the lesson and asked me how I thought it went. And because obviously I had a timing problem. And I said, well, you know, they got stuck and I think I'd overestimated, you know, I pitched it too high. So I had to, you know, I couldn't get to the free practice. And praise the Lord, he said, oh, good. Of course you should. He said, you realized there was a problem and you went back and you made sure the students understood before going on to the next stage. He said, if you hadn't done that, I'd have failed your lesson.
mhm.
um, so, you know, timing can get the better of you. All right. But the most important thing with timing is that you don't allow it to sacrifice your students' learning. Okay. There is this thing where teachers think, I have to finish my plan, whether the students learn anything or not. Now, I
Mm,
know, I get it. If you have a pacing schedule and you have to finish a number of units by a certain time, yes, we have to live with that. But there are times when we overload the students or we pitch things too high. So this is a timing problem as well as a planning problem, a materials problem. So you've got to be ready to have to maybe reteach something or do one practice activity again before moving on to fluency practice. So if you're anticipating timing problems, and this is, as I say, I think the number one enemy, first, what do you do if you run out of time? So which part of the lesson will you keep and which part of the lesson will you throw away? This is
mm.
super important. Okay, you have to decide and write it down, maybe, or in your head if you're teaching, you know, in a normal everyday environment. Of course, on a CELTA course, you have to write it because we need to see it. But you need to know where you will finish your lesson if you run out of time. Then you have the opposite problem, don't you? Too much time left. Okay, you've done
I
the,
don't understand that
you've done,
concept. That's never happened to
yeah,
me.
me. That's very rare for me, actually. This is one of my dreams.
I'd love to be in that position. Well,
The
maybe
blue
I will,
moon.
but
I mean, you know, so, you know, well, exactly. And, you know, Reem has said, you know, sometimes you have to sacrifice the free
yeah.
practice. So
Mm,
you might have to stop at the controlled and leave the free practice maybe for another lesson because
mm,
it's more important that the students understand because the control practice will prepare them for the free practice. So there's no point jumping to the free practice because it might be a case of running before you can walk.
mm,
However, nothing is set in stone. If your students understood everything very well in the grammar focus stage, you might find they could go straight to the free practice. Only you know that because you know your class. All right. It does happen once in a blue moon where the
mm,
students got through it quite easily. So you think, well, okay, I'll skip the control. I'm short of time. I'll give them a little practice. We'll try it together. I'll demonstrate it with them. Then, okay, all right. So you have to be sort of ready with all kinds of different scenarios in your head that you either have in here or you write them down. If you finish too early, okay, the thing that Amanda and I dream about, okay, for us it's a fantasy. But we have seen it happen when watching CELTA courses. I mean, often it's because maybe the teacher went through things a bit too quickly. Okay, some teachers are human dynamos. They're Speedy Gonzales. They're just like exercise one, yalla, three, and they're amazing. They're sort of like little machines. So yes, you can have. Fatia has recommended extra worksheets. That's a very smart idea. If it's a speaking activity, um, maybe before you do any content or a linguistic feedback, maybe you can add some extra questions. Continue it. Don't try to do something new, because sometimes the extra minutes might be only about 5 minutes, and 5 minutes isn't enough time to do something new, because by the time
True.
you've demonstrated, blah, 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 the lesson's finished. So if it's a speaking, maybe you can have some extra questions ready, or you can say to the students, okay, you can write 2 more questions you would like to ask. Okay, this depends on age, level, everything else. Okay, so always think what you can do if you're the lucky teacher that has time left over. So, okay, worksheets is one thing, but also think how you can extend the last activity. That's often more beneficial because it's the final practice stage of the lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's less stressful than trying to do something new. Because if you try to do something completely different, then they say, I can't get it all done. All right. So, anything else? Any other suggestions with timing that we should think about? Yes, extending is always good. It's the it's the easiest thing to plan for, to be
Yeah.
honest. That's what I find. It's much easier. So, because you just add a bit, and then suddenly you're okay. I mean, you can do other things. I mean, if that isn't an option, so your role play you can extend it, which comes back to your final practice activity. So maybe the role play could be extended. Or another thing that you can do. Remember word bag, Amanda?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I used to
having
love having one of
yeah.
those. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
This is this is as old as the hills. I think it's nearly as old as me. Um, you know, you keep words we say in a bag. It could be just like in an envelope or even in a plastic bag. Um, but they're vocabulary that you've done with your students. Just get some scrap paper and always keep a few words in this bag, or those clear chefaf folder type things. So if you suddenly got 6 or 7 minutes, you've done everything and you don't want to do anything new, then you can do a quick word game with these. You can have the students, in groups. They take a word and they have to try to explain it without saying the word, and the students have to say what the word is. So they have to give definitions. So that's a more sophisticated way of doing it. Or you can use the words and they have to choose 2 words they want to practice and they have to write sentences with them. Notice the magic word here, choice, okay? Um, so word bags are very useful things, or if they have a particular word, like choose, then they could write the different forms of it, the noun, choose, choice, or the different tenses. And yes, hot seat is good. I mean, hot seat is a whole class thing and might be easier to organize. If you want more student participation, then put them in groups. Okay, this depends on your class and depends on you. If you think it's easier to organize hot seat, yalla. Okay, but word bag, keep bags with words in or envelopes or something because they can be great for. And this is also good for your latecomers. If you're teaching adult classes and you don't want to start, you can spend the first 5 minutes, put the students in groups and they revise vocabulary. And you can also
Yeah.
keep some pieces of paper blank so the students can add words as well.
And something you can do maybe with lower levels or maybe with younger students is one person takes a word, they say what the word is to their partner, and their partner has to then try and spell the word so that they're practicing their spelling and alphabet.
Brilliant. Excellent idea. Has anybody else got any other ideas in the chat box there? I think Reem and Mena have been sort of on fire today.
They
They're
have,
getting
haven't they?
and Fatia, they're really
Yeah.
going for it. If we had prizes, we would be giving them to you, believe us.
We would. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wallahi, very impressive. Okay. Ooh, word chains. Is that where they continue the word? Like if you've got snake and then the next word is egg, for example.
Mm.
Where the boys at? Tell us more. My old brain hasn't got that bit. You'll have to tell us.
No, I don't get that too. Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Rima's put me out of my misery. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
word chains. Sometimes they're called word snakes. I've seen in children's course books. You
Mm-hmm.
can actually do them on the board, or is something try to make the longest snake across the whiteboard,
Mm-hmm.
or even with bits of paper they can add to it. Sort of on the walls, which is
Mm.
great fun. Yeah, word chains, word snakes, excellent.
Yeah. And they
Crosswords,
could,
anything
yeah,
that
they can
helps to
do,
revise the vocab.
yeah, they could do things like word association, or take so many of the words and build a little story around them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Fatia's put a word guessing game. Yeah, so
Nice.
definitely, yeah.
Ah, yes, like I was talking about, yes. So
Mm.
they describe it, and their classmates have to guess. Brilliant. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies,
Mm-hmm.
you're really going for it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we're actually in danger of finishing on time for once. Look at that. MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Mugiza. Usually people are having to say to me, Laura, finish. We only got, because I'm always the queen of bad pacing. This is why I always feel bad on CELTA courses criticizing people for pacing, because I have pacing problems myself. So I think this is a good time for us to end. If anybody wants, I've actually sort of produced some more sort of slides and stuff, but I don't want to go through them all one by one, otherwise you'd all be falling asleep. So if you are interested, then just send us a message and we can send you a PDF. Ah, clips. Ah, nice. Very nice. Look what Fatia, I'm
Mm-hmm.
mispronouncing your name. Fatia, yeah, Fatia.
Mm-hmm.
You can kill me afterwards. That's excellent. Oh,
Mm.
mashallah, yani, fikr helwa. That's really nice. I like it. That's very creative.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's one of the best ideas I've ever seen. Thank you. That's really good. Little clips, like keeping a little folder of clips. That's excellent.
Yeah, and I mean
You could
that
use
not
that for
only
acting
would
as well, couldn't you?
you could use that for all sorts of things, couldn't you? It would be a great kind of
Yeah.
revision type activity, practicing maybe
Yes.
different grammar points or a different vocab. Yeah.
This is brilliant, isn't it? This reminds me of what we used to do with video before we had the internet. We used to uh, turn the sound down and we'd get the students to follow the actions to learn sort of
uh,
paralinguistic features. So when they're having an
uh,
animated conversation, the students had to stand up and do the actions the same as the people talking. And then they had to try to guess what they were saying. And then they would come up with some of their ideas, and then we would turn the sound up, and then they could compare. Of course, this wasn't silent, so we had the option of sound. You just reminded me of something that
mm,
we used to do a lot, and it was
mm,
great fun.
mhm. Yeah.
Ah, gosh, that's an oldie blast from the past. Excellent, thank you. You really you've given us some inspiration there. All righty, I think we should love you and leave you, and
Mhm.
we will see you next week.
Next week or
So
the week
we're
after?
usually doing it for, yes, we're the following, aren't we? Fortnightly. So the
Yeah.
week after you can have a rest. And then
Hmm.
we will, because we delayed this one, we postponed it. So the week after next, we'll see you again with another subject.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for the lovely ideas,
Absolutely.
and
Thank you
we
very
look
much,
forward to seeing you
ladies.
in a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
Thank you very,
Yeah.
very much. Take care.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody. Bye bye.
Go and have something to eat if you haven't already. Amanda's going to die of starvation.
I am. I am.
All righty. Okay. Right. Bye. Thank